Folks, welcome back. This video is going to show people how to submit their trading cards directly to PSA from outside the US. So the information that I'm going to give is going to be kind of more for UK people, but I believe it should work for people in Europe. It's probably going to be more helpful just now, just because we've seen what's going on with middlemen, not just in the UK but in America as well. So we've seen what's happened with Ludkins, what's happened with Mark's cards all in the past year, where orders have basically sat, even though they've been completed, but they've not been returned to submitters because companies haven't paid their bills. We've seen other issues with some middlemen losing packages. It's just a bit of a mess, and I think it's going to make a lot of people look at submitting directly to PSA for themselves. For me, it's much better because I like being able to be responsible for my own shipment, so I can make sure that it's packaged correctly. I can make sure that it's tracked, and I can see it the whole process, the whole way there. I can then see exactly how my submission's getting on with PSA. If there's any problems, I can contact them on my own behalf, and then when the shipment's coming back to me, I can track it as well. So for me, I just think for an extra, roughly it works out an extra £1 a card, maybe £2 a card if you're not doing big submissions, but for me it's just much better. So the first thing that you have to be aware of before submitting is you have to make sure that you don't actually have to have one, but if you want to submit cards at the $18 tier or the $30 tier, you have to have a Collectors Club membership with PSA. It costs $99 annually, so it's not a huge deal of money, but if you don't have this membership, it means that you're stuck and you can only submit cards, I believe, at $50 tier and higher. So yeah, if you want to submit at $18 and $30 a card, you need to have your Collectors Club membership. So the process itself is very, very simple. When you've got your account set up, you just hit this green submit button up the top, and you then just start. On the previous screen there that came up, I had to block it off just because it had some of my submission details live, but you just click start on new submission, and then it brings you onto this screen here. So on this screen, you basically choose what it is you're submitting to PSA. So they obviously don't only accept trading cards, they accept jumbo cards, they accept coins, pins, sealed packs. They've recently started accepting Funko Pops as well. But for this video here, I'm just going to be doing regular trading cards. So you just hit that and then you click next. On this screen here, you then have to choose your submission type. So you can choose between these four. So you've got the option for a reholder service. So I believe that is if your PSA card has like a crack in it or it's damaged and you want it to get re-slabbed, you would choose this option. You've got the crossover option, which is for people that maybe have a graded card in like a Beckett slab or a CGC slab, and you want to cross it over to PSA in the slab. I know most people would crack it out of these slabs, but if you want to send it in its slab to PSA, then you would choose that option. You've got the review option, which I believe is if you believe your card has been misgraded, then you can submit it again. But the one that I'm going to be going through is just this first option, which is just for grading. When you click that, you've then got options here depending on if you're going to be submitting a card with an autograph as well. For me, I'll just be going through the no autograph authentication just now. So you just click that and then you hit next. And on this screen, you then choose what tier it is that you're going to be submitting through. I don't know why they don't have it in ascending order. It is to a point, but then it jumps down here to your like your specials that are on. So they've got a couple just now. They've got this modern sports card bulk special, which they previously done for Pokemon stuff, but it's a $15 tier. They've also got the bulk that people are using just now, which is the $18 tier, which is down here. If you're then going to choose like a $30 or a $50 tier or whatever else, you just select the appropriate tick box, For the purposes of this one, I'm just going to do the bulk option for the 1980 to present cards. So you just select your option and hit next. So this is the screen that you then put in exactly what you're going to be submitting. So the important thing to remember here is that the search function's not that intuitive. So as an example, if you wanted to put in like a Mew VMAX, so say you go Pokemon Mew VMAX, you'll see that the first options that come up aren't even Mew VMAXs. They're Mews from different sets. In fact, none of these kind of top searches here are the Mew VMAX that I would be looking for, which is the one from VMAX Climax. You will notice that they tend to follow a bit of a format. So it's got the year, the trading card game. In this case, if it's a Japanese or if it's Indonesian, it's then got the language after it, and it's then got the card number and then the card name. So in the case of this Mew VMAX, what you would do is you would type in like 2021 Pokemon Japanese, and then I believe the card number is 280 Mew VMAX, and you will then see it comes up. Here it's here, so it does appear. I don't know why it doesn't come up as like the first one, because it ticks more boxes, but it does come up. It can also be a little bit difficult, like if you're submitting cards from other card games. So the other card game that I've been submitting just now is Dragon Ball Heroes. So in the case of Dragon Ball Heroes, it's difficult if you don't know the year number, but all you do is you type in Dragon Ball Heroes, and then it depends on what set it's from. So if it's a card that starts with UM, it's like Universe Mission. If it's UGM, I think it's Ultra God Mission. You also get Big Bang Mission, but let's start with Universe Mission, because I believe they were one of the first sets. So you put in Universe Mission and then whatever one it is. So if it's UM1, you put in Universe Mission 1, and then if you want to submit something like a secret rare, you type in SAC, and it should then bring up the 3 secret rares from that set. So for the purposes of this one, I'm just going to do this one Dragon Ball card. So you need to make sure that you select your quantity and your declared value total. Just bear in mind it has to be within the maximum declared value of the tier that you're submitting. So you put all that in and then you hit save, and then it starts to build up a list here. So when you've added all the cards that you want to add, if you click next, so this screen here then gives you the options for return shipping and for your payment method as well. So they have got an option here that you can ship directly to the PSA vault. I've never used it before. It is probably going to be useful for people in certain circumstances. So if you have submitted a few different submissions, maybe that they're going to finish at different times and you only want one of them or one shipment to come back, I believe what you can do here is send your submissions to the PSA vault, and let's say you're waiting on 3 or 4 subs coming back. When you then the 4 of them or 3 of them arrive at the vault, you can then return them to you all at once. It's going to be more useful again coming up, because I think you can see here that they're linking up with Golden, and there's going to be a relationship there where you can submit cards to PSA, they'll return them to the vault, and then I think Golden will list the cards for you. So essentially it's like hands off. You don't have to worry about getting cards back and listing them yourself. So that I can see some value in that, but the option that I always just choose is just the ship back to me option. So you need to make sure that your cards have pulled through. You can see here that the return shipping's not too bad. It's $53. I'm not sure how many cards that goes up to, but I believe for me it's been the same for, I don't know, maybe like 50 card submissions, something like that. Maybe a little bit less, I'm not sure, but it doesn't tend to be too much more. You also, in here, you just put in your credit card details, and there's then another section underneath which you then have to make sure is correct, but it then gives you your return address. That is pulled through automatically from your account, so you need to make sure that the address that comes through there is correct. If it's not, you have to go back into your account and change your shipping address. So assuming that your return address is correct, you've then got two options here for the return shipping method. So the one that I always use is just insured shipping, so PSA will handle everything, they'll just return them back. It always comes through FedEx. You can also choose this alternate return shipping method, which is if you've got a FedEx account. I've never done that before, but I know you can do it. I have done it in the past with CGC, but there's not really any benefit to it. So yeah, I just go with the insured shipping option, and you tick that. Okay, so I've had to just take a snapshot of the submission screen and just blank out some details just so that I can show you. But yeah, basically all that comes up on that next screen, it then just asks you just to confirm all your details are correct. So you just need to double check your return shipping details and your credit card information's there. Double check that your tier's correct, the price is correct, your cards are correct, and then you just tick this little box and then hit next. Okay, and then the next screen that comes up is just with your submission form. So there's a couple of really important things on this screen. The first one here is just that they advise you how to ship your cards back. So the way that I always ship my cards back, ship my cards to PSA, sorry, is that I put the cards in a penny sleeve and they then go into a card saver. What I then do is I'll take 10 cards and put them into a graded card sleeve or a team bag, and it just keeps them a little bit more protected and more together. I then take however many team bags worth of cards that I've got. I will place the submission form that you can find further down this screen. I can show you some of that in a little minute. I'll place that submission form inside, or I'll wrap the team bags with an elastic band with the submission form attached, and then I put them inside bubble wrap. So I'll start to wrap the kind of the brick of your cards basically all together. I then put the cards that I've got into a box that I believe is about 14 by 15 by 16 centimeters. So I'm not sure what that comes out at in inches. It's like 7 inches by 7 by 8 by 9, something like that. I'm not quite sure. It is really important that you follow PSA's packaging guidance. The very first time that I submitted cards to PSA, I made the mistake of boxing the cards up and taping the seams with fragile packaging tape, and then on top of that I then used fibre tape. PSA rejected the package because they thought it had evidence of it had been tampered with, when in reality it hadn't. So what I now do is I will take a box, I'll put a layer of bubble wrap at the very bottom, maybe a few layers. I'll then put my bubble wrap brick of cards in, and then I'll start to basically fill out the box with more packaging material like bubble wrap or whatever else you've got, like newspaper or anything like that, just to fill the box out. It stops the brick of cards moving around, and it gives it any protection if it was to be dropped or bashed on the side or anything. I'll then close the box over. I then use fibre tape exclusively, and I make sure that I only use one type of tape on the box, and I will tape every single seam on the box 3 times. So the middle seams, when you fold it over and close it, I'll tape them 3 times. The same at the bottom seam when you make the box up, and any edges that are exposed, I'll tape them the same amount of times. What I then do is I take this little submission label that they give you. So they ask you to put this on the outside of the box. I believe what they do is they scan it, and it then registers your package as being arrived. But I will take this label, I will print off either 3 or 4 of them on a 4x6 label, and I'll then cut them out. And what I then do is I'll take that and I will put that label across each of the taped seams on my box. Basically the reason that I do that for me is just so that when the package gets to PSA, they can see that the barcode is over the tape that I've put on it, which signals to them that there's not been any additional tape added to the box in transit. So it basically gives them peace of mind that the package hasn't been tampered with. If if the package gets rejected and returned to you, then you can be fairly certain that something's happened, because as I said, if you've taped over each of the seam, or if you've put this label over each of the taped seams, then it just shows that it's not been tampered with. So that's usually what I do with my box. There is also an option here that if you are, let's say you're submitting a bulk tier sub along with a value tier sub, that you have to do a different label than would come out on your submission forms. So what you have to do is you need to go back to your customer dashboard, and you put in, or basically it brings up the list of submissions that you've got active, and you then tick the box for whatever subs that you're putting in the same box, and it then will print off, or it then generates a new ID label, which you would then put on your package. The other thing that you have to be wary of if you're shipping to PSA is that they only accept two methods of shipping, basically. So USPS, I believe, is who, if you were shipping from the UK through Royal Mail, probably any other national postage providers, like let's say PostNL for the people in the Netherlands, I believe it's Deutsche Post in Germany, I believe they would all go through or go to this USPS address, so that's who you would have to address it to. You can also ship through FedEx. I will always use FedEx purely because I would rather that the parcel gets there quicker. So as an example, from the UK I can ship through Royal Mail that would then go through the USPS. The cost of it's about £13, but it can take 3 weeks or so before the package gets there. With FedEx, usually the cost is somewhere around £40, but it's generally at PSA within about 3 days. So for me, it's just not worth the risk. I know that people that submit through, or that ship through USPS and whatever else, tend to have a lot more problems, so I would just rather submit directly through FedEx. So that's the address that I always ship to. You just need to make sure that you then include your submission forms in the package as well, and that it's all sealed. As I mentioned before, that you just follow their guidance here. I've got some pictures that I can probably show people of exactly how I do the packages, although I think I've explained it pretty well. But if anyone wants to see some pictures of it, just let me know, and I can try and upload them on, I don't know, E4 or somewhere else. Or if you want to message me on Discord, then feel free to do that, or Instagram or whatever. So that's how you do your submission. So the next stage is how you then ship your cards, which I'm just going to take you through it. So there are obviously, there's many different ways that you can submit your or ship your cards, I should say. You can go directly through FedEx, you can go directly to Royal Mail. For me, I use this website, which is Parcel Hero. There are other websites that you can use to middleman a shipment for you, which is essentially what these people are. I've also used a company called Parcel to Go in the past that were pretty good. The reason that I use Parcel Hero exclusively is basically just because they don't require me to attach any customs information to the package. It's all done electronically. Whereas with companies like Parcel to Go or some other parcel middlemen, they might offer cheaper prices, but I have to attach the customs information. To me, it's just something more to worry about, that if I don't know what happens if the customs information comes off of your package. There's obviously a risk that it can get delayed, so for me, I just like to know that everything is electronically submitted and that I don't have to worry about it. So if you are using this website, it's pretty self-explanatory. You put in where you're shipping from, where you're shipping to, the weights and the dimensions of your package, and you then hit quote me, and it will come up with some prices. So on this screen you'll see it gives you the options for however you want to ship it. So we know that we only can ship through FedEx or USPS, or if you want to go directly to Royal Mail. It just shows you here, so I'm making this video on the 28th of November, and it's showing you that if you shipped by USPS it wouldn't get there until the 14th of December, so that's over 2 weeks. For me, it's just not worth it's not worth the extra weight. I just don't like things taking long to ship. I think the quicker it is, the less risk there is involved. So there's two options for FedEx that you can go with in this circumstance. You can either ship it next day. It's usually not next day. It usually takes 2 days, but let's say 2 days shipment for £51, or you can go a little bit longer. It's about a week for a few £3 extra. I think that works out as. So yeah, it's for me it's just better just to go with the next day option, just because the price is so close. Often what you will find is that the next day shipping option is cheaper than the 3+ days, so it's worth just looking. And as I mentioned earlier, other companies probably will do it cheaper. I know that in the past, Parcel to Go, when I've looked at using them, or when I have used them, they've been maybe £10 cheaper. But for me, I just like being able to submit without having to attach the customs documentation, and just knowing that it's all done electronically. Just it gives me a little bit of peace of mind that I know that I don't have to worry if something falls off the package, that even if all that paperwork falls off, that it's still going to go through automatically. So that's just why I just use Parcel Hero. So yeah, when you're happy with whatever option you want to choose, you just hit book now. Now on the next screen it will just ask you to confirm the collection and the delivery details. So I've just put in just some fake details here. Just for the collection address, the delivery address, you need to make sure that it's correct as is stated on PSA's shipping options. So if you're shipping through Royal Mail or your national postage, or if you chose the USPS option, then you have to submit to this address here. If you're going to FedEx, then you need to choose this one. So you just put in their address details. What I tend to do is put in PSA's phone number for customer service and their email address as well. Now, this last part is not so much on this screen, but you put in the contents description as trading cards, and then your parcel value. With regards to value, it's worth noting that if you send collectibles through FedEx, the maximum that they will cover you for loss or damage or whatever else is £1,000. So if you, like I've noticed it before, that if you go to FedEx directly and you tell them that it's £6,000 worth of contents, they'll charge you a price appropriate to that because it's more expensive to handle. But if it comes to paying out, they won't pay out any more than £1,000. It's in their fine print. If you look at it, maybe the numbers changed. I think the numbers are also the same if you submit through DHL, so that's just something to be mindful of. I will show you a website that I've used in the past for insuring collectibles parcels as well, but if you're doing it directly through FedEx, no insurance involved, that's the maximum that they will cover you for. As I say, just double check in case it's changed, but when I last looked at it maybe about 6 months ago, the maximum was £1,000. So I just tend to put the value as £150 here. That doesn't affect anything to do with customs, so before anyone tries to jump on me saying it's avoiding customs fees or anything like that, it doesn't. It's not. You don't pay customs on what you send out. It's whatever you receive back. So you just go through all this and then you hit next. Okay, on this screen, this is where you fill in your customs details, so it's important that you fill this out correctly. Now, I'll preface what I'm going to say. The reason that I fill out the customs information the way that I fill it out is because when I first submitted to CGC and I spoke with them on the phone and through email, this is how they told me to submit it. PSA have told me the same thing, FedEx have told me the same thing, and DHL have also told me the same thing. So under the export reason, I always do the repair option, and PSA will then return or use this option here, which is the return option, to send your cards back to you. To me, it's also a little bit self-explanatory. You can't do it as a gift because it's not a gift. You can't tell them that it's intercompany data because it's not. You can't tell them that you're sending your personal belongings because personal belongings is only supposed to be used for relocation purposes. So if you're moving country and you're taking things with you, then that's what you would choose. You're not selling PSA your cards, and it's not a sample. If you select the other option, which is what other people have said that they do, it asks you to put in a declaration statement. Now, whenever I do the repair option, I think I said this in my CGC video 2 years ago, I always put a declaration statement in here anyway. So I always put in here something along the lines of sending PSA my cards to be authenticated, graded and encapsulated. Cards will be returned to me within like 120 days or whatever the turnaround time is. So that's what I always put in the declaration statement, so that it's very, very clear whenever the parcel is going out. Remember that it's the custom, if you're, I don't know what other countries' customs laws are, but the customs details for you sending things out isn't going to dictate what you pay when things come back to you. That's all really controlled by PSA and the method that they return your cards. And as I said, this is what they've told me to do because it complies with how they return your cards. So what happens is, whenever PSA then return your cards back to you, as I said, they'll choose this return option. FedEx will get in touch with you to ask for the original proof of export. Basically all you have to do, they'll give you a phone call. All you do is you tell them your original export tracking number and they should clear the package. The other thing that you can do, as soon as PSA notify you that your cards have shipped, is that you can email, it's gtsclearance@fedex.com. I don't know if that's only a UK address or if it works worldwide, but if you email that email address and you quote them the PSA return tracking number in the subject title, and you just tell them that PSA are returning cards to you, the original export tracking number was XYZ, usually they'll clear it within anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. So yeah, when PSA return your cards to you, you will also have to pay a £21 disbursement fee. That's pretty standard. I think it's the same everywhere in Europe as well, so just be prepared for that. There's no way around it, unfortunately. Usually it doesn't prevent FedEx from returning your cards to you. Often what happens is that you'll get the cards returned to you, and then FedEx will send a letter just telling you that you owe them £21. Sometimes they'll send you a text message or an email, it just depends. You also then put in your description, your unit price, and the tariff code that I always use is 95044, and then I think it's 4 zeros. So let's just go through it here. So trading card, we'll say £150 and then the quantity. And then when you hit next, I believe it then takes you onto the payment screen here, so you just put in your card details, and then when you hit pay, I've got 2 in here just because I've been playing around with it, so it's not, it wouldn't be the price. But when you then hit pay, it automatically generates your shipping labels, so you then just print them out and stick them on the side of your package, and just making sure, that you don't cover up any of the barcodes that you've put on your package, any of your like submission barcodes that PSA asks you to put on. So as I mentioned as well, there's this other company that you can use if you are a little bit worried about the value of your package. They offer insurance. I think it's about 1% of the package price is what you pay. You do have to follow some instructions that they give you if you look at their packaging instructions, and then I think it gives you a little bit more detail when you actually go through your order as well. But you need to basically make sure, if you are going to use this company, that you follow exactly what they tell you that they want to see. So they often want to see pictures of your packaging. They want your package to be, or to adhere to certain things. So I believe from memory they want it essentially to be double packed, which would mean if you were sending off cards in a cardboard box, that they would either be in like a smaller cardboard box within your cardboard box, or within a padded mailer inside a cardboard box, something along the lines. I think what I done before was I done a, yeah, so I think it says it there, secure your merchandise in first packaging such as a padded envelope or small box, then in the larger cardboard box. So what I think I done was I put my card in a padded envelope, I then wrapped that up in bubble wrap and put it inside a small box and just made sure there were no gaps in the box, that the padded envelope had no way to move, anything like that. That I sealed it all with packing tape, which you do that with PSA's instructions anyway. So yeah, there's something, or a company that you can use. As I mentioned, FedEx will only cover you up to about £1,000. DHL are the same, although you can't submit to PSA through DHL. But yeah, these companies are all the same for collectibles. They tend to limit it to about £1,000. So that's just something that you need to be mindful of. And as I say, if you do want to use an insurance service, then you can use this company. I'm in no way linked with them, I've just used them before. I've looked into their reviews from people that have had to use them because their packages have went missing, and they get quite a good write-up. So I think they're also one of the only companies that you can use to secure or to insure parcels for like collectible shipments and stuff like that. So the last thing, just before I finish, I'll just show you just some examples of how I like to package the return. So this package doesn't have a shipping label on it yet because um, I've not sorted out the shipping. I've only just finished my submission maybe an hour or two ago. So yeah, as I mentioned, I just put the PSA label just across the tape. So that's on the top side. That then just gives me enough space to put a shipping label on here or on one of these two sides. Usually what I'll do is I'll put the shipping label on here as well. Just again, if it's over the tape, it just lets PSA see that there's not been they've not modified the package in any way, whoever's handled it. So that's on one side, and then on the bottom side I put a big one right across the middle. And then what I'll often do is I'll take a smaller label and I'll just put it across the seams on the edges as well. It just depends how I'm feeling. Sometimes I'll do it on every edge, sometimes I'll maybe only do it on like the bottom ones or whatever, it just depends. So yeah, hopefully you've found this video helpful. If you've got any questions, that's my Discord username. I'm active in the E4 Discord, the Elite Forum Discord. You can drop me a message in there. You can tag me in the Help Me channel if you need any help with anything. I'm also on Instagram, Haggis Collectibles. You can drop a comment on YouTube. Yeah, I'm quite happy to help. Hopefully, as I said, people will find this video useful. I do think that we are going to see a really big rise in the amount of people that are submitting directly to PSA just because of what's happened. I think everything that's happened with middlemen in the past few months has really put people off from using middlemen for very little gain or very little advantage, in my opinion. So yeah, hopefully it makes people realise how easy it is. It really is very simple. It's not a difficult process. I've never really had any problems, touch wood, but I've had, like as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the customs declaration and whatever else, I've had parcels coming back from PSA being taken aside by the UK Border Force and by customs, and they've been manually checked. They've actually been opened and they've come back here with UK Border Force packing tape on it, and they've been delayed by maybe like a week coming back. So I'm fairly confident that that's the way to do it. Aside from maybe one or two times when that's happened, I've never really had any issues. You pay the FedEx disbursement fee. I'll see if I can quickly type a little the FedEx email that you email, as I mentioned, is gtsclearance at fedex.com. Yeah, if you email that email address whenever PSA are telling you that the shipment's going to come back to you, and you just get ahead of them, and you just email FedEx with the PSA return shipment tracking number, and you just quote your original shipping details out to PSA, and you just tell FedEx that it's been returned to you. It just helps things clear a little bit quicker. So it really is a very, very easy process. And as I said, if anyone's got any questions, just feel free to get in touch. Yeah, thanks very much for watching.